right, let's take you back to our leading story now, where the motorcade carrying the mortal remains of late Tito Mboweni has just arrived at Sasekani, and our reporter Lutendo Bobodi is currently on standby to give us a minute-by-minute update as to what is currently happening. As we can see there on screen, Lutendo, good afternoon to you. I suppose a very somber mood. We can see a lot of people gathered around, those that have come to pay their final respects. Take us through what is currently happening now.
Thank you so much. This is where it all started for former Minister Tito Mboweni back in 1959. The man who once appended his signature on our money was born here in 1959, and today here he comes back here, you know, in a, like you said, greeted by a somber mood as the man is no more. Of course, what is happening here is what we call public viewing of the body of Tito Mboweni. The body arrived at around 1 o'clock or 1:30 in Mahoba's Clove, in a plot where he was living before he passed on, and the body, of course, then was transported here for public viewing. Public viewing does not mean all and sundry will be given a chance to take a glance at his body, but of course it is open for media, it is open for some members of the public or some members of the community, it is open for relatives, colleagues of former minister who are, of course, here. As you said, it's a somber mood. The body has just arrived now. It has been transported here, and now it has been placed in a house here, in one of the houses here in this compound. A lot of people have come through, relatives, friends, former colleagues, the media, everybody is here. It all should have started around 4 o'clock, but they were early, and they came when the body was transported here from Mahoba's Clove. This is what is happening right now, and as you can hear the voice, the background voice is the master of ceremony or the program director, you know, giving those orders, telling people what is going to happen. There are rituals that will be performed. Rituals here I'm talking about the general African rituals, that is accepting and also viewing the body, just to make sure it is the real body. It is of course the body of Tito Mboweni. This is basically what is happening right now.
Lutendo, talk to us about the official program. As we understand, of course, all the dignitaries will be starting to arrive tomorrow, international as well as local dignitaries. We understand that security has also been beefed up in anticipation for this. So take us through how, of course, from where you are in Sasekani all the way to Mahoba's Kloof, how are things, like how are people preparing to lay to rest the former Reserve Bank governor?
Well, talking about the program, of course, first of all, we expect thousands and thousands of people from all spheres of life to flock in tomorrow at Umkwakowa Stadium. It's a 10,000 capacity stadium and expected to be filled to the rafters, and also other people around the stadium to kind of pay their last respect to the man who is a giant of the liberation struggle. We don't have the program at this moment. We hear that the program has not been finalized, but we can confirm to you that the president of the Republic of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, will deliver the eulogy on that particular day. We also expect a guest, of course, from around the world. At this point in time, we may not have their name in particular, but of course we expect to have guests from around the world, because this is a man who touched a lot of lives, not just in this village. Of course, in this village, he was a light. He was shining a light on this small village, underdeveloped. He was also a light and of course, a backbone for his family, but also a treasure trove for the nation. That's why all people from around the world will be coming here. I just heard yesterday something I didn't even know, that when it comes to labor laws in South Africa, he played a very pivotal role to develop labor laws in South Africa. We have some of the best labor laws in the world, and the basic working conditions, some of the things that he played a role in developing. Today we have a free country because of the sacrifice and the grit and the determination that former Minister Tito Mboweni did. Of course, as I said, born here, went to the University of Limpopo to study, where he did not finish degree, but then he went on to join the struggle, where he went to Lesotho, to exile in Lesotho. That's where he furthered his studies. Coming back, he continued the struggle, and also ending up being a labor minister in the first democratic South Africa. And he was very young at the time. If I understand, I think he was around his early 30s then. Then he became the governor, the first black governor of the Reserve Bank. As I said earlier, the man from this poor and humble village appended his signature on our money. He then later, and most recently, became a minister of finance. He went on, after retiring from government, he went on to live in Mahobaskloof. Mahobaskloof became the most popular area in Limpopo because of this man. You know, he was active on social media, sharing his recipe. He was an avid cook who would share, his recipe on social media, and he made waves on social media. You know, he was a man who never really shied away from the public eye.
Lutendo, you know, you speak about development and how, of course, the place and the village that he comes from was underdeveloped. So let's talk about what development or progress or achievements he has actually brought to his home village of course, what is it, Nkowanko?
I didn't really get where to say. There was a bit of turbulence in my ear. The line was breaking, but I think you are talking about development in this region. You are talking about the state of the village here. It's, earlier we showed you how how Sasekani village is in terms of infrastructure. Poor roads, it's rocky, it's dusty, lack of water. A lot of people here have to depend on borehole water, and you know how expensive it is, especially for a poor community like this, to be able to depend on borehole water. But this is the state of this village. You know, it's a typical Limpopo village where it is characterized by underdevelopment, lack of infrastructure, and lack of the man who was known that it doesn't matter where you come from, but if you believe, you can of course fulfill your dreams.
And I mean, look, Lutendo, talk to us about the mourners that have surrounded you. I mean, what are some of the stories you're getting from people that know him from humble beginnings before? His signature was on something that we use on an everyday, in every day and as every part of our daily lives, which is actually the South African rand.
Yeah, of course, you know, the first thing I've picked up, it was his level of intelligence. From the time he was just a child, they said, you know, he always had full of energy, you know, he always had a lot of ideas. He always showed that level of intelligence. That was, you know, he was in a way ahead of his time. You could see if a man who ended up being a minister, who ended up being a Reserve Bank governor, you understand it begins from childhood. But of course, from family members, we hear that as a family man, the man was a man of principles, a man who could not be easily moved from what he believed in. Some will say he had a combustible character, but some will characterize him as a man who just stood by what he believed in. It is also a general feeling of the members of the community here in Sasekani. Those who know him say was a man of principle, you know, a man who had this village at his heart. He wanted to see this village developing. He wanted to see more people like him coming out of this village and go on to impact the world.
Look, Lutendo, let's talk about, I think there's been quite a lot of confusion as well pertaining to where exactly can members of the public actually come to pay their final respects. Is it today at the memorial service and tomorrow at the stadium? Maybe, please, if you can shed some light on that confusion there.
Again, you're breaking, but I think you're talking about this particular ceremony. What is going on? Is it a memorial service or what? As we said, this is public viewing. As you know, it's something that doesn't usually happen. But this time, there's an exception because we are talking about a public figure here, a government official who was known all over. That's why people are welcome here to come and view. Of course, as I said, not just everyone is allowed to view. Certain people who are selected, certain people who are relatives, those who were colleagues, those who were friends to the Mboweni family. The ceremony is not really a memorial service, but you can, of course, in a way, it can become a memorial service, but there's no program, a formal program that states that it's a memorial service. But of course, anyone can, of course, remember whatever they remember about Tito Mboweni and, of course, communicate it to the people who are gathering here. But basically, this is just a mourning ceremony, if one could say.
Right. And Lutendo, I understand you are struggling to hear me there, but the presidency on Tuesday actually announced that Mboweni would be given a Category 2 special official funeral. Maybe just for the benefit of our viewers, please explain what exactly a Category 2 state funeral actually is.
Again, I'm not really hearing you. I think it's then also noise in the background, but also I think your light is breaking. But the program today was about the arrival of the body from Makhubasklof to here. And tomorrow, of course, early in the morning, we start at the church in Makhubasklof, where the body will be laid in state. It's called Mass because he was a member of the Roman Catholic Church. A funeral service is called Funeral Mass. This is where it will start, and then from there, then they will proceed to the stadium, Nkonkowa Stadium, where a formal program will be, of course, conducted. After that, we'll be waiting at the cemetery, and of course, we'll give you those details and those updates when former Minister Tito Mboweni is finally laid to rest.
Right, we're going to leave it there. I'm struggling to make a connection, audio connection there with my colleague Lutendo Bobodi, as of course the singers there, the mourners have arrived at of course the official home there of the late former Governor Tito Mboweni to pay their final respects. We're going to be keeping in touch with our reporters on the scene throughout the course of this bulletin.